Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the lab. I'm, of course, your host, John Burkett, and today we're coming back at you with another episode of SOYcast. With me, as always, Ace Emberdor, Al Beasy, Albert Emberdor, and Mr. Knox, Dre Gothams. What's up, y'all?
What's good in the hood?
Tossing pieces out for peoples.
Oh, man. So I don't know about y'all, but I know we just talked about Friends and stuff, and I happened to watch the reunion. Really impressed. First impression is really impressed. But I was wondering, have all of you guys seen the Friends reunion? I know Ace, Albert, you guys are big Friends fans. Like, what are you guys thinking about that?
Go ahead, bro. You got it. You got the floor.
Yeah, Friends reunion was very nostalgic for me. Very surprised about they were able to get some of the surprise guests that that were on the show. They were able to come back. Thought that was pretty cool. The little things that they remember on set. Monica or Courtney Cox writing her lines on the dinner table. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
On the apples.
Yeah. Just learning about those little things I thought was really really cool, and learning about how they all just came to be was interesting to me. And then I thought the way they ended the series was a good closure. It wasn't very forced. It wasn't since the season was going to be canceled or whatnot, so they were able to end it the way they were able to. And what they mentioned about in the documentary was that there's not going to be any other reunion. This is going to be one and final. And just like just the series finale, I thought this is another great closure type of thing. Like just them getting together for one last time, I thought was really really good to see.
Did you have a favorite episode of Friends, Albert, or one that
Yeah, I have a couple, but the one that always comes to mind is the Thanksgiving episodes, especially the one with the troll doll and the football, where they play football at the park. I think that's one of my favorite episodes. Just everyone having a good time, and then the troll doll
Good time.
again. And then I think that's also the episode where Monica and Rachel were like, "Oh, did you have the key?" And I was like, "Yes," meaning I thought you had the key. Just that whole back and forth was hilarious.
Nice. Ace.
Oh yeah, I mean, following up on what Albert was saying, it was very nostalgic, and it was really gratifying seeing all of them in one room together. I think they mentioned it was other than that one, for the reunion, they've only been in a room since the show ended one other time, correct? So
Right.
that's really cool, and just them kind of going back into the memories. It was kind of teary eyed. I think someone was cutting onions right next to me, so it was just kind of a kind of good. It's always really good when you want to relive memories, especially with people you love. I think the little portion that really stuck out to me was that when they were talking about how certain people didn't have friends or friends came into their life, like that the dad kind of passing away, and the show was helping them through, and uh, the girl that was a lesbian who didn't have anyone to kind of confide in and almost felt ostracized. She felt friends with her friends, and it also made me feel, what, I think that's my connection with friends. Was not saying there was any time that I didn't have any friends, but it was a moment where I felt kind of alone. They were there for me whenever I wanted them, so I kind of understood that connection when they were talking about how they connected with friends when they didn't really have any friends. So I thought that was really really cool, and I really commend them for not saying, "Hey, we're not going to do any other episodes. We've closed the book on them. They've written their own chapters." For them to actually go back into it and like they said, unravel it, let it be. It's good. They've gone on and done their things, and the memory of them is beautiful. And I'd rather just hold that memory rather than whichever new episodes they try to bring out.
Knox, before I ask your opinion, isn't that why they say in the theme song they'll be there for you, Ace? Right? Isn't that I'll be there for you? That's the name of the song. And then they were there for Ace. Just me.
There you go.
All right.
That's,
All right. Whatever, guys.
Thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate you coming.
All right, yeah,
And
that was a
on
good
that
We're gonna end it
note-
right here.
Uh, Just right into the wall again. All right. F me. Knox, I watched it with you.
Oh yeah. Hands and like snuggling because we were so touched, so like emotional. But
Were you guys snuggling like how David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston were secretly snuggling during takes?
Absolutely
right.
not.
Yeah, I mean that was like a cool little like tidbit that like that I
That
was
was some
excited to
good
hear
tea.
about. Yeah, when like people asked like, yeah, so was there ever actual like any other like hookups? I'd be surprised if that was the only connection. Typically you would think TV movie sets are kind of like working at the restaurant industry, right? Where everybody's hooking up with everybody.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a cute little
CPK?
thing. You thought that they
What
were
you try to say, Dre?
but they were crushing. I mean, not me. Not me. I don't know.
Me?
I don't know about
You
Mr.
only, yeah, you didn't work off the secret menu. You stayed on menu. Okay, cool, man.
About Mr. Burkhead. But
What? No, come on, man.
but yeah,
You
so
guys got
like,
some tea over there?
I'll say like seeing this, one, yeah, awesome to see everybody in the same room together. That's really impressive this day and age and during COVID. Um, really cool that they got all the like not all the but a lot of smaller side little characters who had cameos or bit parts, and they were able willing to come back and kind of reenact their character. I thought the Janice cameo was
Oh
pretty great.
my god.
Yeah, she was always like on point. Like anytime she like came through an episode, she always did her thing. So that was cool. And I feel like it gave like a really good impression of like what it takes to like make a show. Like I had a lot more appreciation hearing the writers talk about it and like how passionate like they were about their baby.
Yeah.
I know on an earlier episode I was a little critical of the show, saying I never really laughed, which is true. I didn't laugh that hard. I mean, chuckle here and there. Chandler was good, but put that like aside. Maybe the humor's not my kind of humor. I do respect like the craft and what they were able to accomplish is pretty amazing. So I really
was dying when they were saying pivot.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, okay, yeah, for sure.
You were dying.
I'm sure I was cracking up during
Yeah.
that part. Like I'm not sure who could not, and especially that was cool when you saw the behind the scenes stuff, like the outtakes of them doing the pivot stuff. So just props to Schwimmer being good right there. So yeah, overall I thought it was really cool. Impressive that it was wild. They got like people like Bieber and like
BTS.
Yeah, like when they were walking down dressed up like kind of like
the holiday armadillo.
Yeah, so I was impressed that you get some big celebs. I mean, I'm sure those kids loved the show like when they were younger, so it's like something passionate they were about. But yeah, shows the power of friends. Like what other show could get Bieber? It wasn't Bieber just as Armadillo. That was Kara, right?
Yeah, he was a Sputnik.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he was
yeah,
Sputnik.
Yeah, like what other show could get like Justin Bieber dressed like that? I mean, maybe he dresses like that down the street though, because he does be looking. Oh, I was funny. Side note, I was at Pump Restaurant in West Hollywood with the fiance and some friends during the 4-day weekend, and sometimes
4-day.
Oh yeah, I had a 4-day weekend.
Oh man,
hour too.
Damn, show up. Okay.
But sometimes celebs will come in there because it's WeHo and like Pump. They film like a TV show there. So like, I've only been there one at a time. We saw Halle Berry come through. So
Halle
I don't know.
Berry.
So like it's not impossible. But then if people have their masks on, I saw this one guy come up with a girl, and I thought it was like Justin Bieber. It turned out it wasn't Justin Bieber. It's just some like cracked out dude with like
it was Ellen DeGeneres.
And looking homeless and like messy ass hair and stuff. I was like, well, then that's Bieber's fault. If you can have someone think that some like scraggly, weird looking dude is him, then maybe he needs to check his style. Maybe he needs to work on his stilo. But yeah, cool that they got all those people. Much respect to the writers, the producers, the people that had to put on the show. It's kind of wild. You see how much people age and what people go through, which is kind of tough because, yeah, damn, like Courtney Cox was beautiful back then. When you saw some like the photos, still shots of her, she had like perfect bone structure.
Yeah.
they'd be looking kind of toe up now. I get it, age is crazy, but I think a lot of them are getting too much work done. So.
I think the only person that really didn't really get any work done was probably like with Lisa Kudrow, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she looked like
other than Joey,
like-
turned into a thick boy. I think maybe even Schwimmer.
Oh, man.
Schwimmer didn't look like he got too much work done as well.
No, just not enough sleep.
Yeah, could be that.
Chandler.
But
Yeah,
Chandler, I mean, he has well documented accounts
Health
of
issues.
what he was going through, and
Yeah,
um,
you would always guess
unfortunately.
was he going to be super skinny one season or quote unquote regular the next, because he would definitely change from one season to the next.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
he
they-
didn't talk that much, huh? Like he was, kind of going. Do you think he was uncomfortable being there? I mean, super props to him for just going, being there, supporting, making it all happen.
I
Like,
remember when they were looking at the flats and they signed the flats. I even made the comment, where's Chandler? Because the three girls were there looking up their stuff, and David and Matt were looking at stuff, which I thought Matt wrote the funniest one, I shit here, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, I didn't see Matthew Perry nowhere, when they were looking at the flats. I don't know if he dipped out early or was in the bathroom or fell asleep.
Yeah, I
What were
know.
you
I
gonna
know.
say, Albert?
He was Matthew Perry was questioned a lot during that reunion because I guess apparently he was like slurring his words. But I don't have any doubt that he was on anything. Just that's just the way he is. And just like I think with what like I think Matt or one of them said that like all of them being together, I think they all just quickly fell into character. And Matt LeBlanc being, or not Matt LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, Chandler always just having a one-liner. Obviously you're not going to be able to say much.
True.
You know,
He had a couple good ones too. I feel like he played off, like someone sitting next to him said something and he kind of played it pretty well, I thought. But yeah, just kind of curious if like you guys noticed anything there.
yeah.
Definitely.
Unfortunately noticed things, and hopefully he's better now, because it probably probably sucked for the cast members too, right? Like having someone who was going through that, and then you still have to show up to work every day. So
Mhm.
What, like, wasn't he like he's quoted as saying like he doesn't have any recollection of like 3 full seasons?
right,
Yeah.
right.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
That's crazy. That's
Well, it's
crazy.
wild
That's
doing that, and then like wild, like also being like, say if you're a person working off of him, like you're in scenes like with people, like I wonder like what all that was like on set. If they could tell, if you didn't really bring it with them into the workplace and it's more just partying afterwards. But yeah, that's wild.
well, Albert works with you. Albert, how does Dre work? Just kidding.
But what I thought was funny too, when they were talking about episodes, we're like, hey, David, do you remember that one episode where we were tossing the ball and he didn't remember that episode? Maybe it's because we're fans and we're like, oh, I remember that episode so vividly. For him to act, and he was like, oh no, was I even in that episode? Or yeah, you were there with you and Matt were tossing the ball, and they asked Matt, and Matt was like, was it me or was it you girls? And it's kind of funny, like, wow, they don't remember some of these like classic episodes.
So long. Well, I mean, it was interesting. Like a lot of them don't watch the show.
Yeah.
I think what Lisa Kudrow
Right.
said, she like almost like I think she had never seen it or something, or like
I
rarely
think she
seen.
stopped
always
at
like a
season
couple
2 or something like that, right?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
recently they catch you here and there. It's like strange for us, for fans of things or viewers of shows. If we have a TV show that we like, we'll like binge it. We'll watch it a lot. Like I'm sure, The Office, Seinfeld, Friends. People kind of just rewatch episodes and seasons over and over again. It's curious to think that like the actors probably like don't really watch them often, or maybe don't watch them at all. It's kind of wild.
It's almost like you want to sit down, like, yo, check out this episode. This one's gonna be really good.
Right.
You did this. You're like, wait, I did what? So
and then they look at you, Ace, and they go, I know, I lived it.
But some of them, oh, they have their kids or kids are getting into it. That was kind of cool stuff to hear too. Like
Joey's right.
Yeah. Like Matt LeBlanc says, he's like parts that he likes, he brings his kids and makes them check it out and be like, oh, Pops is cool. So
Yeah.
Joey's part of the Thick Boy Club now, so I'm proud of him, man. Thank you, Matt LeBlanc. Welcome to the club, brother.
Hey, Ace, he's walking over here.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
geez. And then moving on from Friends, another I think things that's happened this week that I thought was pretty cool was not sure if you guys have heard, but Naomi Osaka withdrew from the French Open, gave a statement, and it's actually the support that she received that really kind of was touching, at least in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have saw that, heard about it. Wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that. Knox.
Yeah, it was like really wild. So I mean, for context of people who, if they don't know what's going on. So she has like high like social anxiety and stuff. So she's not comfortable talking in public speaking and stuff. But with athletes, it's almost always a requirement that you give post game interviews and things after events. And so, she's been struggling with that recently. And then at the French Open, they're saying like you have to do these interviews even if you don't want to, and she just kind of said she had enough and like full on dropped out. So that's pretty. First off, that's pretty big because she's a pretty high profile athlete. So
I think she was favored to win it too.
oh, was your favorite to win it?
Yeah.
So they're like number one.
Is she ranked number one, or
she's not ranked number one, but
she's like
she's been crushing. Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty big for them to lose that. Who knows if that cost them viewers? I mean, who knows if the French Open, if they even care? You would hope that it would like push the needle for these like entities to like care more about their athletes. Probably won't, but I mean that's just big, because people miss out. She was missing out on money and all that sort of stuff. So for her to like, it's got to be serious. It's putting her well-being first. So that's pretty awesome. And we
think
like,
that.
I'm sorry, I'll say we've seen this before. Like, look at Marshawn Lynch. Remember the whole "I'm just here so I don't get fined." He didn't like to speak to, but they're like, no, you have to. Like at the Super Bowl, so he would just show up and just keep saying, "I'm just here so I don't get fined."
You know why I'm here. You know why I'm here.
So this is nothing new. So yeah, it's interesting. Like if she's uncomfortable and it's like a really serious issue, then I think people should be able to like express that and maybe get I don't know what do you guys think? Like, should they make allowances for someone who claims that it's like it's not that I just don't like to do it, it's like more like a kind of like a mental health issue, almost like a physical thing because it makes them physically ill? Or do you think then it's not fair to let some people get passes and other people have to do it? Because I know that's like the first part of like the argument, right?
Maybe we can take it case by case, but at the same time we also have to respect people's wishes. If they're saying, hey man, I don't feel comfortable talking to public, maybe a question or two, but even if that question or two makes that person feel ill, we have to respect that. People on the other side of the screen, we only see interview, but they don't see the after effects of like after that interview they're probably high anxiety and hyperventilating, and that's causing stress on on their heart. You don't know what it does after or during that interview. So if a person's honestly saying, hey man, like it's giving me anxiety and I have some kind of social anxiety and I don't want to speak to the public, you're forcing me to do it. Okay, I'd rather just not play then if you're going to be forcing me to talk. And I love Marshawn Lynch for taking that stand. Like, hey man, I'm here to play football. I'm not here to answer questions. Sure, I'll answer a few questions, but I'm not here for a full speech and Q&A. I just want to play football, get in the locker room, be with the boys, and get ready for the next game. So I respect her wishes as far as like, hey man, this is for my mental health, because if she breaks down, guess what? We're not going to be there for her, So she needs to be there, and I'm pretty sure her team calculated, hey man, if you drop out, you might miss out on endorsements and money. She's like, hey man, that's my mental health is way more important than money, because if I become super socially awkward and I can't function, what good is that money to me if I can't really function.
Especially if the pressure gets to her, right? And then she loses round X, which isn't where she's supposed to, where everyone depicts her like, oh, she should be in the finals, or your favorite to win. Like there's definitely a lot more to it. And not only that, but so I believe this was before her matches, right? If I'm getting this right. But can you imagine doing an interview if like you just went through a whole season, you first round of the playoffs, you play your heart out, and then you lose in the first round?
Oh, the Lakers?
Sure. Like a Lakers, or like someone who's let's pick a young team like New York, like Julius Randle, first time in the playoffs. They worked their ass off all season. He played his heart out after a round one loss or whenever, even NFL, like it doesn't, but like just after a loss in general, I wouldn't want to talk to anybody. I would, I'm the kind of person where like, F that, like, oh, this is your job. Well, find me whatever, or do this or do that. But like, I'm not in a mood. So I've never held it against athletes because they're humans too. I was, Dre, when you were speaking about, when you were giving your points out, it's crazy to think like, it sounded like the French Open was treating her, not that she is, but it's like racehorses. Like, no, you're just here to make us money and you're supposed to look good and do your thing. But at the end of the day, she's still human. And so, I'll shut up now. I want to hear what Albert has to say, but I agree. I'm very happy that she stuck up for herself and she bet on herself. And I hope that she's just leading by example for others to just bet on yourself and, to just trust with what your body is telling you, regardless of what anyone is saying. Like, she bet on herself, and that was inspiring to me, is that she put her first.
Yeah. Totally agree with all you guys. What sucks is just that, the Grand Slam and everyone that are behind that, that board and that didn't come outright supporting that decision. They were just straight up, just receiving, Naomi was receiving like a majority of backlash instead of support, which kind of sucks. And then seeing that, like how, her, like, winning all this money and all this fortune doesn't mean you're going to have the best mental health. You may receive the best resources, but, even then that still may not even help. And people, that do talk about it, or talk, down on her, like, you never really know what's going through that person's mind. So it's kind of hard to even like judge her on that, I'm just glad that companies like Nike, supported her from the get-go. I know that the Grand Slam people are, who are running that tournament came out, either today or a few days ago, supporting her decision to back out now. So there's just mental health is really important. It's just as important as physical health. So anyone that kind of talks down on it is just may not understand what that person's going through, or may not understand what mental health really is. And it's just unfortunate that someone as big as her has to go through that and still receive backlash.
Before we continue with this, because I think we all agree that we support her, but if I may play devil's advocate for a second, because I'm sure there's some peoples out there that are like, well, Kobe would have never backed out. So I was just wanting to get your guys' thought. If like, what if someone's saying, okay, cool, I'm happy for blah, 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 but Kobe wouldn't have backed out. Ace, it looks like you want to say something.
Kobe is different from Naomi, period.
Boom.
So, boom and taste. So it's crazy because you're comparing. Okay, well then we can compare Obama with Naomi. Would Obama have done it? We don't know. But they're just two different people. For us to compare people.
Sorry. I just thought of no. Obama would have given like a 2-hour speech. Like they would
just drop the mic.
One question and be like, well, let me be clear. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up this tennis racket. He's like, oh man, maybe we shouldn't have asked him. No, I love Obama. He's the best. He's the GOAT. But brother talks for ages. So he was funny.
That was a pretty good question, though.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Pretty spot on, man. I thought
really
President Obama was on for a minute.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. But yeah, him at post game tennis match interview would be great. Sorry.
He's
I-
like, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the question? Second question.
He goes, you haven't even answered the question yet. Are you in or are you out, Mr. Obama? But no, what I was just saying is it's unfair for us to compare Kobe or whoever they want to compare Naomi with. It's mental health. She's the one dealing with it. Overall, she is understanding her body better than anyone, what's going on in her head, So for us to say, hey man, you can do it, Kobe or Obama would have done it. It's unfair for us to even say something like that to her because at the end of the day, she can be like, okay, cool. Well, then tell them to go do it. I'm gonna, still take care of myself.
Yeah, exactly. And just to bounce off of that, Lamarcus Aldridge just retired, and he came out saying that he's feeling a little bit depressed just because of feeling that he's still able to play and just not in the right mental state of accepting maybe possible retirement.
Right.
But your body is has gone through so much that you're not able to go through a regular NBA season, and teams are not able to pick you up, and that goes through a lot of your mental health as well. And obviously these are two different people, but just having the same issues or like going through what that person's going through, it's just you can't really have a different person going through what that person's going through.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, but my thoughts on it are, so obviously, yeah, fully support her. Like, I think it's great that she stood up for herself and felt like, no, like I'm not comfortable. Like, this doesn't make me feel good. I need to do what's best for me, and I'm just gonna leave the tournament. So that's wild. And then to what John was talking about with like the outpouring of support. Like I saw one post on Instagram and had a bunch of like some prominent athletes, but Kyrie, given like the props and we like support you, Queen, and all this stuff, and then going over through each athlete. So yeah, that's all. I mean, that's totally awesome. Like I think that's great. So I support that 100%. But just as far as thinking about the whole picture, as far as not devil's advocate, but like kind of trying to understand like why are the athletes even required to do it in the first place. I guess the question I'm like curious if you guys have thought about those. Like, so what do you do? So say they start to change their rules, and if they say, okay, if you're not comfortable doing the interviews, you don't have to. Like, then what if you have like no one doing interviews, and then so you have all these reporters who it's their job to get these sound bites and then go write their stories. If they don't have the people given those quotes because they don't do interviews, then I guess like the writers don't get their work and don't get money for them. I'm sure because like I was curious, like why do they care so much? Like why is it such a big deal for the French Open to have Naomi talk, right? And like I mean to like get all this negative press about you guys letting having her quit, like what's in it for these like leagues. And so I assume there's money deals in with all the reporters who then come in and then take this like access to these athletes and make these stories and put it up on the LA Times and all these like papers across like the country. So do you think like they have the athletes do it because they're getting money out of it somehow based on deals that they've made with the newspapers, or like what would happen if they're like, okay, cool, if you would rather not do an interview, we can't force you, and then it's just up to each individual, and then all of a sudden we have like only 25% of the player interaction that we used to have as far as post games and all that sort of stuff.
But before we give the opinion on that, because that's a great point, Andre, and I'm glad you brought it up. I think the way it works is the teams are paid by whatever like broadcast
Network
platform is supporting them. So like the Lakers have Spectrum, right? So Spectrum is the one who is allowed to interview the teams prior to that, and I believe that's just more content and ratings for them. So I think that it has something to do with the TV deals. Don't quote me on that, but just speaking from my gut, I'm like, well, yeah, because I only see like Spectrum peoples or Spectrum banners everywhere around like the Lakers post game and pregame, right? So I'm assuming it has something to do with like TV deals and endorsements from there. But Albert, Ace, do you want to start with your opinion on kind of bringing it full circle with this like 25% capacity, or what could possibly happen if no one shows up to interviews?
Well, I mean, we'll also got to think like what happens if everyone kind of stands behind Naomi and does the Marshawn Lynch type of thing too. As far as like, okay, we're forced to say something. We're just gonna say no comment, no comment. And we're still technically given the interview, but I think what people don't like to do is being forced. And um, for them forcing these athletes to do, and which I understand. I guess now there's money involved, and that's why the owners are giving out fines if you don't do these interviews. And um, uh, does it hurt to give the interview? No, I don't think so. I'm not an athlete, so I don't know. Maybe, but then after losing a game or having social anxiety, and I don't feel comfortable talking to the thing, like it would be really hard for me to like sure let's answer these questions, but now you look like a jerk giving your answers because you're saying, oh, Ace was rude on the mic, and he said, I already told you guys I'm not in a good mood. We just lost. What makes you think I'm going to be in a good mood to give you guys an interview? So it sucks for them because they get painted to be the villain. But I guess whenever money's involved, it's such a tricky subject, But yeah, what it wouldn't stop any of these athletes right now to follow suit, and support Naomi. Like, okay, we're forced to give these interviews. I'm gonna give you guys a second interview.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that some people won't be able to get interviews, and I just feel like there are some athletes and just in general, like people are gonna take advantage of, oh, I have a mental issue, so I'm just gonna take today off or just not do an interview. But there's always compromises, there's always solutions, and I feel like with someone like Naomi's case, where social anxiety, limit the number of reporters that she's gonna be able to answer to, or have one interviewer that takes that interviews her, and then and from there they're able to broadcast it to the media room or whatever. And there's different scenarios. It's not like you have to answer to a whole bunch of reporters in that room. um there's so many different ways that you can ask questions, and there's so many ways you can answer them.
And that's exactly what I was gonna say. To Albert's point was, this is an opportunity to change the way things are done, right? Because just because it's always been done this way doesn't mean that that's the right way to do it. And with athletes changing and the game changing and all these different changes, like why shouldn't reporting and journalism and interviews and all that follow suit? I mean, how many broadcast networks did everything virtual, right, during the shutdown? And how many talk show hosts were doing virtual interviews? And I'm sure that's a different kind of draining for certain people, but at the same time, I bet a lot more people are more comfortable speaking at home, when they have pajama bottoms on, but a nice, casual t-shirt on. Not saying that's me right now, but I'm just saying, like, I agree with that, but it's definitely an opportunity. And I think that those who take this as an opportunity and kind of get with the times and be progressive can definitely like reshape the way we do interviews. And I feel like some interviews are kind of boring anyways. And then you have great trolls like Greg Popovich, who's like, I don't want to do an interview, so I'm just going to have fun with the interviewer, right? That he'll, you ask him a question, he's like, yeah. And then it's like, well, how do you feel about the defense? Blah, blah, blah. What do you think you guys should do? And I'm like, what do you think we should do? And then he just like moves on. So, I mean, there's always more than one way to do it. Sorry, Dre, I think you were going to say something.
Oh no, sounds good. Okay, John, what was Dennis Schroeder's, or like what's his current contract?
Oh, no.
Dre, they gave him what he wanted, right? He wanted a 4-year, like 24 mil a year extension, right? So 4 years, 96 mil. That was the extension they gave him.
Right.
And he turned it down.
Okay, I'll turn it down. Oh yeah, so well, he's leaving. That's a whole other story. But my point, I mean, obviously we're just trying to talk about the whole like interviews and are they forced and all that, like how that works. Obviously, like once again, I totally I'm all for Naomi, and like I was super like excited, like wow, like that's ballsy, like that's badass, good for her. But for those who say like, okay, when you sign with the Lakers, there's a contract. And for this $24 million that you're getting this year, whoever, I mean, I don't know if this is exactly that much. Like, isn't it crazy? Like, wasn't that like Kobe's contract was like 25 at
Highest.
like the end? And it was just like, everyone's like, he's so selfish. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, at the time, that was more money. But you know what I mean? Remember, it's like, how could he take that much money and the rest of the team's not going to be good? And players, like, you know, now are getting that much easy. But for the person who says, okay, this is your job, you're an employee still. Yes, you entertain, but you know, it is like a job agreement. And in that $24 million that you're getting, it's stipulated that you have to give interviews. You could agree with that, and then you can not be that athlete. So I'm kind of curious, like there's that kind of component to it. I guess with tenants, it's different because they aren't actually like owned, but they're like individuals and they submit themselves to the tournament. So maybe it's like, okay, you can be in the French Open, but you have to give interviews. So you know what I mean? There's like contracts and things, like all these players sign these contracts. Obviously it's a dream, and who wouldn't want to have that dream accomplished? But it's not like they're being forced to do things that they didn't know that they were going to have to do. It's like, it's part of the job, quote unquote. But I mean,
Yeah.
not to say that like I don't feel for the athlete and like, you know, yeah, she's uncomfortable. She's like, you know, it makes her like actually ill in senses. So like, yeah, I get it. But I'm just like curious, like, how do we balance that or fix that situation? Like maybe could it be like where, you know, say for a game, right? Russell Westbrook was going to get $900,000 per game, whatever, you know, to calculate that. Would it be a thing where he would only get 825,000, and the 75,000 would be stipulated upon completing the rest of his contract, which is the post-game interview? Like that way, where you can then the player has the option to like be like, I don't want to do this part, so I'm willing to forego some of my pay. Or should it just be a thing where it should be taken out of the contracts altogether? Because I mean, it's clearly it's there that like the athletes know, but I'm sure just some people, maybe over time, it gets more difficult to deal with.
Great point again. God damn it, Trey. Full of all the points today. I'm gonna call you Vector because Vectors always have 2 points. Anyway, sorry.
So you only have 2 points, right? That's it. You only have 2
Oh,
points.
man.
No,
I said I
I'm
had,
gonna
like,
call
all
him
the points, but apparently I only
Vector.
have 2 points. So
Oh
okay,
my.
never mind.
So
He's about to give
no.
the biggest point right now.
No, that's a great point. And you can definitely think like the Players Association for getting players higher contracts nowadays because of the new CBA and all that stuff. Because you're right. Before, when you could only have one athlete having one big contract, other players are like, no, like we contribute to the team too. So that's definitely what's changed over time, and good for them, right? Athletes work their ass off, and they definitely should be getting paid what they do. So I'm never gonna be mad if Shooter wants 24 million. If he can get it, kudos, you know, hustle, do your thing. Going to what you said about like that much money being taken away for interviews, if you're at the caliber of a Naomi, or even if you're not, even if you're like, you know, 6th man, 7th man, whatever guy on the bench, because not everyone gets interviewed, right? Usually the ones that get interviewed are the bigger names, right? They're not interviewing Alex Caruso every game. They're not interviewing Marc Gasol every game. It's usually the higher performing athletes, because why? Well, they get paid the big bucks. We want to hear from them. If you're at that caliber of an athlete, right? Damian Lillard, Westbrook, Naomi, the list goes on and on. The Lakers offer you your 24 mil, but with a stipulation, each game, if you don't go talk, we're taking 50,000 or whatever it is. I'm gonna go sign with New York, who doesn't take that away from me. And I think that they'll be if he's saying like, okay, cool, well, this is what they told me, because I'm sure there's negotiations everywhere, right? If you want me to interview every game, you're gonna pay me more, and if you don't, like, I'm just gonna go find it somewhere else, because I'm sure a player at like a Westbrook level or whoever else, like other teams are gonna give him money and say, oh yeah, you don't want to interview? Sure, just do like the necessary media day when we have the preseason, which isn't as formal after a game, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you just got on the team. How do you feel? It's very surface level. I just feel like, again, when it comes down to money and stuff like that with these big names, like Westbrook's going to go play for Washington because they're not going to make him pay, or they're not going to make him interview, blah, blah, blah. And for the ones that, and then here's the other side, case by case, right? There's some guys and women, athletes in general, that have egos and they want to be heard. And regardless of the outcome of the game or this or that, they want the interviews because they just like the attention. So there's some if there's some that don't want the attention, we can't hold that against them for the ones that want all the attention, right? Because, you know, Albert talks nonstop and we just can't help but have the spotlight on him all the time because he's great.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, I mean,
Up already.
as far as the teams choosing, like, I mean, that wouldn't work because I think it's more the you mentioned earlier TV networks. Like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
the Lakers win, and then it's Anthony Davis. It's like seconds after the game, and Anthony Davis now has to go talk. So I think that's more like no. ABC is like no. We want like Anthony Davis has to talk. We're choosing him, so he has to give us this minute segment. So I don't think the Lakers could be like, no, well, we had him sign a contract and he didn't want to talk, so you guys don't. But yeah, I mean, it's just curious to see where it's going to go from here, how it's going to evolve, change, if it will. I mean, it's been the way it's been for decades, so who's to say that it's going to change now? But yeah, it's curious.
Albert?
It just sucks. Yeah. At the end of the day, it just sucks that Naomi have to back out, not able to perform and show us, that she is top 3 or the best tennis player out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and once again, we all support Naomi. Go get your, well-being. You first. You choose you always. Um, we'll figure out this whole interview process. It's not going to happen overnight, but like Albert said too, there has to be different ways for interviews to happen. We figured it out during the pandemic. They can figure it out now. There has to be new ways of doing it. Maybe cut the time shorter, have questions already ready for them to see, so they're not surprised as far as like what they're walking into. Because there's some interviews where like Russell Westbrook, where they ask him a dumb question. So, you guys were losing by this much, and then you guys lost. So how do you feel about the loss? And that's when you turn on, what? Like, you're asking me this dumb question
Right.
after a loss. Like, are you asking that to insinuate some kind of dumb response? Now you can run with that, and now I'm going to become a meme. So
Oh yeah, 100%. That's for sure why they do it. I mean,
yeah,
they a lot of times they want to antagonize the player to get a good soundbite so they can sell their story, right?
So I mean, for the players to kind of look out for that, like, well, I'm not going to be out here looking stupid, so I'm going to answer 3 questions, and you guys got 3 questions. Here you go. I did my part. Let me go about my business, whether we won or lost. But it's a player's, not even a player. It's a human's choice. Hey, man, like, yeah, sure. Those interviews now that you guys are talking about it, I never really thought about it. Yeah. These stations need these little interviews. Cool. I'll give you guys a quick, sound bite. We did great. We worked our asses off, and that's why we won. Or hey, man, we need to work better. That's why we lost. Cool. And then we'll go about it our day. But they're humans at the end of the day. And if they're saying, hey, I'm feeling some kind of way, I respect Naomi. Hey, man, take care of yourself.
Did you guys ever find it weird that they had interviews in the locker room too from time to time?
Yeah, that was weird.
That was always weird to me. Like after the Lakers won or lost or whatever, I would see like they're interviewing LeBron. He doesn't even have a shirt on, and I'm like,
Right. It's all
can the man change?
because they want to get him like fresh, so like the emotions are still high, so that
Yeah.
whether it's like passionate or like angry, they're getting the best quotes, right?
Correct.
So yeah, but yeah, it always seemed like they were crazy, like invading space. And there's been movies and scenes that kind of joke about how like the athletes, like a lot of them will be there like naked in the background trying to change, and these like like women or reporters are just like all up in their shit like hella quick. So that's kind of crazy. But who knows? Maybe like instead of like a deduction from their salaries, it could be done as like bonuses. Like, okay, like here's your salary, but if you do choose to like do like a post-game interview when they ask, here's an extra like 10 grand or something. That could be like ways where it's like a choice, but still giving incentive for people to do the interviews. So you don't have like half of like the content that we used to have. Who knows what they'll figure out, but that's like one way where I feel like they can make it like an option, but still not an option that like people turn down like 50% of the time.
What about coaches? Because
I don't even like those like at the end of each quarter interviews.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
at the
those
same
are
time, it's like, if you're getting paid certain dollars, and you're going to represent the team. Like, I feel like there are some elements, like we all work jobs and we all have crappy things about our jobs.
Yes, we do.
So I think like there should be some element of, if you're at a really good job, like everyone says, like they, that's like a great job to have, to be in those, pro sports. And I think there should be some sort of like level of, okay, this is part of the gig. I'm not saying that for every situation, and if people have anxiety issues, that's like a whole other thing. But I do think like we can't just have it be like, there's no accountability whatsoever, and anyone could just do whatever they want, right?
Sure.
But
I mean, I do agree with you when they do those after the first quarter, before the fourth quarter interviews. It's almost kind of dumb. Like, we're kind of watching the same thing. Frank Vogel, you guys are down 7 points. What's going on? Well, we're down 7 points. Oh, what are you going to do? Play defense, which they're going to stop scoring baskets and then hopefully score more baskets. All right, that sounds like a good game plan. All right,
Right.
that's basically given. We watched the first quarter with you guys, so I think those interviews are usually kind of silly, unless it's
I
Craig.
don't know why they started doing that.
Rest in peace, Craig.
Oh yeah, Craig
Yeah.
had some
That's true.
some good questions. I feel like Rachel Nichols, she asked, and Malik Andrews, like they ask questions that aren't as surface level, like, hey, how do you get your guys to play better defense? Tell them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Like,
Or
how do I do that?
I like when they would ask them like questions of basically like, hey, give us your strategy for what you're gonna do. Like, no, coach is not gonna like tell national TV, okay, so what we're gonna do on this next play is we're gonna do this backdoor pick and try to get Dame open that way. Like, it's like that stuff's so weird to me.
We're gonna run elbow first play, and then after that, we're gonna run a backdoor play for Marcus Sol, and then like,
Right.
wait, you're giving us your whole game plan.
Right.
That's what you asked for.
Like the coaches have their hands tied. Of course, they can't give you any good, solid information because that's going to hurt their team potentially in like the upcoming quarter. So yeah, those are so weird to me.
Imagine if like they're up like in the broadcast booth. Hold on. He's gonna give away his strategy. They're running an elbow play the first game. Okay, cool. There you go, guys. Stop that elbow play.
100% they do that.
Give the ball to Dame and stand back. That's what they're going to do. By the way, Portland lost and they're out of the playoffs.
Did they? Damn.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So Dame to the Lakers, please.
Yeah. Math is doing their mathing right now.
Wait, is Anthony Davis still out?
No, he's
No,
playing. right now.
he's playing tonight,
playing?
but they look like they're gonna lose too. So if the Lakers lose,
Oh,
go
really?
get
Already?
Damian.
What's the score?
Go
Scores?
get him.
Looks
They're
bad
down
already?
14-7, 6.5 left in the first.
Yeah, it looks like
And,
8 down.
Looks like Anthony Davis is hurt because he's
Anthony Davis is out again. Anthony Data Davis.
He's out
that's
again?
the nickname.
Damn.
Well, he's on the ground right now.
As Chuck says, it's street clothes.
Man.
Hey, well, we got the
Davis.
championship last year, so I think we should be good for a couple of years. I guess that's how we'll think it.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I honestly think that if the Lakers were healthy, which they're obviously not, because Anthony Davis is going back to the locker room. I honestly think that they had the best chance of winning. Now that they're out, whoever wins between Brooklyn and Milwaukee, that's my pick. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed. I'm sorry. I'm hella disappointed in Lakers because like they obviously just did not look like they wanted it this year, and you could clearly see it in game 1, game 3, and even in tonight. Man, like just I think AD is complacent with just that one ring. I think LeBron wants someone else to do it other than him. Schroeder is trying his hardest, but all this media attention and not being able to shoot well. I mean, that's not his fault, but like he's trying, but yet there's other players that having off nights. And then KCP not showing up. That's unfortunate, and just the lack of effort I think all around in that team this year was so disappointing.
I 100% agree with you, bro. For them to not have like if one man goes down, another man needs to come up, right? Step up. And it's crazy. I'm pretty sure a lot of these people, man, if they gave me more shots, I'm a show out. Well, your opportunity is now. What are you gonna do with it? And it's crazy to me. Like game 5, 2 starters with 0 points. 2 starters with 0 points, and Kyle Kuzma has not panned out what he was supposed to be. I'm sorry, if I was Frank Vogel or the coaching staff, if we're missing out on threes and open shots, or we need to create more shots, we're staying in a gym. We're finding a 24-hour fitness, and everyone's shooting out their lights out. And I don't care if your wrist hurts, your elbow hurts. They, I mean, you're. It seems like you guys are going to get dropped, and you guys are going to go to another team. Your shot's not going to magically appear there. You have to work on your game, and I think these guys are, like you said, they're complacent with that one ring, and they kind of like stop working on their game. AD doesn't look hungry this year. LeBron looked like he's starting to slow down a little bit as far as like he can't put everyone on his shoulders anymore, and he can't carry that load. Kuzma, come on, bro. Like they
Yeah.
thought you were going to be that third option, and he never panned out.
Also, there's another thing about the coaching staff is that, obviously come to playoffs, you have to make adjustments and whatnot. And even throughout the season, you have to make adjustments. I feel like they just rely too heavily on, the gift of, LeBron and AD just showing up to the game and just outscoring. But like the injuries, going down, and you have to make plays for whenever AD and LeBron are out, not on the floor. And there's just so many plays where they're just standing there and waiting, just looking at each other, and no type of ball movement. And it's just so sad to see right now. It's unfortunate.
It is, and though they're not a team I support, but look at like a team like Boston, who's had injuries for the whole season too.
Mhm.
Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart was out a lot. And did Tatum ever do anything but show up and work his ass off? Like, I don't see any Laker working their ass off from all the games I've seen. And if they do,
Maybe Caruso.
maybe, but Caruso, I mean, like, that's the thing. Maybe Caruso, but he's not, no disrespect to him, but he's not LeBron, right? He's not AD. He's not that guy that's gonna rally the troops. I think it's leadership, right? Because LeBron is the leader, and if LeBron's just like, all right, well,
we're gonna scrap the season, and then I'm gonna dump all you guys and get a whole new team.
Yeah, I would trade anybody for you. What?
And just the whole Schroeder thing. I don't know if you guys saw it or heard about it today. Is just that
he took off point guard.
Apparently he took off a point guard for the LA Lakers off his bio, and everyone's up in arms like, yo, clearly he's not coming back, and he's gonna lose this game or whatever. And it was hilarious.
I don't think he would lose the game on purpose, but him not coming back, I think we all knew that when he didn't sign the extension, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was already the sign, like, okay, Schroeder's not gonna come back. But he's a professional.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll definitely throw a game like that, but as far as coming back, it's looking very, very, very thin. But still, bro, don't give us 0 points. He gave us 0 points. Game 5, bro.
And it's not even 0 point. They just take such, and I'm sure Dre's already getting frustrated with this, but yeah, they take such bad shots.
Well, it's bad shots. Is it bad shots because it's like, I feel like when I watch other teams like that are no names that are like, man, you guys are just shooting. It looks like they're in the gym at least practicing their shot. Our shoot around is happening during the game. Like their practice shots are happening during the game. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, I understand it's kind of contested, but other players that are not as known are making the same shots over you guys. Come on, man. Like, step up.
Yeah. It sucks.
It's gonna definitely. I think it's gonna look like a totally different team next season. Only pieces it sounds like they're keeping is with AD, LeBron, and maybe Drummond.
Yeah,
I would trade everybody.
Man,
give me Damian Lillard. You can have my team. I'll throw in a Gatorade.
Apparently, Butler. Miami doesn't want to re-sign Butler.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll take Butler.
I thought they were going to offer him an extension.
Well, I know he declined it to in hopes to get the extension, but I don't think Miami are willing to offer it after this.
Let's go get I doubt we'll get the big name free agents like we used to, but yeah, give me Butler, give me Kawhi, give me Dame. trade everybody else. I don't care the other two.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like Kawhi is done with the Clippers.
Do you think
honestly.
Kawhi should have shot that three? Because I know Rondo was mad, and I'm pretty sure other people were mad. But Kawhi taking a three instead of I guess not an easy two, but to drive it in at least. Because all he needed was what, 2 points? To
No,
win?
Yeah,
they
they were
needed-
down. They were
They're
down
down
one.
three. No, they're down one.
They were down one. They were down. It was like 111 to 110, and then he missed that three. Then they fouled. And then they were up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe they were down one. Regardless, yeah, Kawhi takes that shot. I mean, Kawhi takes that shot. Don't get me wrong. Does Rondo have great basketball savvy, all that stuff? Yeah, but it is Kawhi's team.
Yeah.
It like, you know, he's what is Rondo gonna say? Well, I'm a champion. Okay, cool. So am I. Okay, cool. You're a better shooter than me, Rondo? I don't think so. Could you have taken a better shot? Did you have more time on the clock?
Yeah.
Sure. But if he makes that shot, he's a hero. It's
Kind of like what happened in
like that.
Toronto, right? Against the 76ers.
right. Game 7 when he made that shot. Yeah, like it's tough, Albert. Did he look off balance? Yeah, that's for sure.
He didn't.
But I'm
Yeah,
not-
he didn't look in control compared to the one in Toronto. So I don't know if he was trying to re-emulate what he did in Toronto with the Clippers last night, but it looked off. But if he made it, once again, he's a hero. If he didn't, you know, where is he going after this season?
I think Dallas closes out that series.
Man, Dallas versus Utah. Then that should be-
Dallas versus correct, Utah.
yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
It's gonna be Denver versus Phoenix. I don't even
Phoenix.
want to say it, but Phoenix. Oh,
Knicks.
Knicks are out.
For Knicks.
Trey Young, ice cold Trey.
Oh man,
Who
what a
does
season.
Atlanta play?
The Knicks. Well, they just
They
took out the Knicks.
play yeah, they play the one
Philadelphia.
seed. They play Philly. With no Embiid, it looks like.
For the rest of
'Cause
the
he's hurt.
series.
Right, meniscus. Right?
I don't know when he has a slight meniscus tear. I don't know what that means. But anything meniscus related for a big dude, like you have to be cautious.
Yeah, that's scary.
But then that's the one thing about Embiid is he was very
Fragile.
injury prone.
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, I think we could call it there. I'm gonna just go cry now as I watch this Laker game and hug my Kobe Bryant trophy. I don't have a Kobe Bryant trophy, guys. I made that up. Anyway, but yeah, thanks so much for stopping by,
Oh.
guys. As always, let's go support our loser team because we love them. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Hey.
Bye.
You guys.